There it is. All right. So, by the way, happy solstice coming up this week, right? Yeah, maybe.
Yay.
Oh, I thought you said maybe. I'm like, pretty sure. Pretty sure this is the last Tuesday with peonies.
They don't smell anything though.
These ones aren't smelly, but what they make up for their lack of scent and bodaciousness. I mean, this is like architectural. They're crazy.
Yeah.
These ones were basically on the ground on my way out the driveway, and I was like, "You're coming to yoga with me." So yeah, they're really fun. I'm hoping I'll have them for Thursday for the yoga at the Carriage House. A reminder: if you want to join us at Third Mountain, please text me. Let me know. If I ever have to cancel because there's crazy weather, like a tornado or something, I want to know who to contact. But unless it's really hideously hot or humid, and I mean like 89 and humid. I hold the classes because we've got ceiling fans and there's usually a good breeze up there, and a little bit of hot yoga can be great for the body. I've had some of my best yoga classes when I've taken hot yoga. I don't like it, but I feel claustrophobic and kind of ticked off, like, why is somebody doing this to me? But I have noticed that it's like hamstrings, like, wow, so much more fluidity in that part of the body. So the solstice, of course, the longest day, and I've been thinking, as you guys know who were here last week, I've been thinking about trauma and pain and injury and how we store it in our bodies. And I think one of the critical pieces that we don't tend to think about is how that impacts our emotional body. And I feel like it's always a good time to do work on the emotions, by the way. There's never a bad day to work on it. But I feel like especially at like equinoxes and solstices, there's sort of more kind of cosmic energy that supports us doing transformation. And it's cool. I mean, cultures all around the world historically have ceremonies and dances, or again, processing and things that they do around those pivotal times of the year. So I would encourage you to just think about that. Like, could there be one thing that you might choose to do that would just allow you to spend some time with whatever might be going on in your physical and emotional body? I think meditation is always a really great practice. And so I was thinking about that. I was like, oh, on solstice, maybe I'll do an outdoor, like, nighttime or, evening after dark meditation. This week, I'm introducing or reintroducing you to a mantra that we're going to use while meditating. And I was given this experience when I took a 6-week meditation class. And at first, I didn't really know what to think of it. I think like all of us, hopefully, if you take a class, you're like, I'm open. Teach me what I need to know. I don't know that much about meditation. And what I found fascinating was that initially trying to learn the mantra, of course, is mentally kind of distracting. You're focused on the words. We're, by the way, going to be working with Om Namah Shivaya. Anybody here never heard that mantra? You might have heard it in music, by the way, that I've played, but anybody never ever heard it? I'm seeing some faces. Yeah, a couple. Maybe, yeah. Om Namah Shivaya. It loosely translated means like I look inward towards myself. So I see it actually as a great tool for turning inward, self-reflection, getting to know our own material. And what happened was fascinating. One week of the class, they taught us Om Namah Shivaya, they repeated it, the teacher said it, we repeated it back, etc. And then we got to the place where we were meditating with it. We were inhaling, exhaling Om Namah Shivaya. And I loved it, by the way. I loved having something to put my brain on, right? I mean, how many of you are words people and you just have words constantly going through your head? Yeah. The tyrannical, chatty mind, God. So I found by putting a mantra in there, and you don't have to use Om Namah Shivaya for today, I hope you'll play with it, but you might have some other mantra that you would love to try meditating with. It can be very powerful. But then they had us think it and move our tongue inside of our mouth as if we were trying to speak it. But of course, your tongue is not moving in the same way or as much. But apparently there is a neurological connection that happens when you're doing that, because I went into this super deep meditation and he had said that might happen. And I'm like, doubted. Went into this super deep meditation so that when we kind of brought back out of it, I had no sense of like my hands on my legs. I mean, I knew cognitively that was the position I was in. I had no feeling or sensation of where my body was in position. I have not actually achieved that ever since. I think it's because we were doing so much. It's like any muscle, it got tonified. And I've been doing really quick meditations because I've been a girl in a hurry. But even 5 minutes is useful, but you may not get that deep. But I'm just saying on the solstice, maybe we're gonna play with it today. And maybe you'll decide that you want to repeat it. And you can always look it up online too, and I'm sure there's plenty of other people having videos talking about it. So we're gonna play with that. Any questions, any thoughts, is there anybody here who thinks, well, I can't meditate, I don't know how, or I've tried meditating and I'm terrible at it, I just think all the time? Yes. Yeah, that makes you super normal, by the way. Yeah. So I will, leave you with this kind of final thought before we come into our bodies and stuff is, I remember confessing to one of my yoga students who was a Mayo doctor, who also is trained in meditation and goes all over the world. She went to Haiti when they had the devastating earthquakes and stuff, or hurricanes, I can't remember what it was, because they had both actually, I think it was, anyway. And there to try and help people on the ground by using meditation and stuff. So very knowledgeable. And I just said, Kathy, I feel like my mind doesn't stop. She goes, oh, it's okay. She goes, actually, your nervous system and stuff gets all the benefits anyway. I was like, really? She said, yeah. So it's, anti-inflammatory, it promotes healing, it's all this other stuff. It calms emotional reactivity so that the next time, we're stuck in traffic, we're less likely to react. It's amazing. All of that can happen even if our mind is chattering away while we're meditating. But your job is to notice the mind has wandered, and then just come back to your tool, whether it's breath watching, Om Namah Shivaya, whatever it might be. Don't get stuck in, oh my God, why does my mind always do this? That's just more thinking, right? So part of what we're doing is training our muscle of noticing and our ability to call the attention back, to tether it to something. So in yoga, we sometimes look up at the third eye point. That can be one of your tether points, in your mind's eye, your vision, if you will, your imagining might be running away with seeing something you saw yesterday, or picturing a conversation you had with somebody, or something you're going to do later. And then you bring your vision back to that third eye, or to watching the breath and the sensation that it creates. So whatever tools for tethering you want to use, great, but that's literally it. Find a position that allows your spine to be straight up and down. So again, you can sit on a bench. Come sit here with me if you want, with your feet over. You can sit up against a wall, and that often really helps. If you find that no matter what you do, even if you're upright and you've got the block, that you sometimes just feel a bunch of hip tension, up against the wall can be nice. Remember, you can take your legs out and straddle, don't have to be cross-legged, right? So you find that seated position, upright spine, broadened heart space, and then you tune in, you tether your attention, and you use your tool of either breath watching or mantra. So we're gonna start off with just learning the mantra. And if you are comfortable being seated, great. If you are not, please take another position, laying down or something. You can even stand if you'd like. Listening to our bodies and taking care of them. It's number one. So it's Om, which is O-M, Namah, which is N-A-M-A-H. I know some of this is visual. And Shivaya, S-H-I-V, so Shiv, A-Y-A. Some people spell it with another H at the end. It depends. Sanskrit, some traditions have a lot of H's in there, like Shavasana. Some spell it with an H and some without. So no bigs. Om Namah Shivaya. Okay. So I'm gonna just start saying it and inviting people to just join in, and we'll just do that for a little bit and see how that feels, and then we'll come into some regular breath work, core work, and all the stuff we do, and then we'll return to some other experience with Namah Shivaya. All right. So finding your nice root and rise through the spine, perhaps the gaze up towards that third eye point. And finding a softening through the scalp and forehead, jaw. We really want to let go of any striving. I know when we're learning something new, we can get into kind of doer mode, or we're worried about doing it wrong. Let go of that. I don't care how we sound, neither do your neighbors. So when you are ready, I'm just going to begin and you'll join in. Inhale. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 A few more. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And now I'm going to invite us, if you would like, to just take it inside. You don't have to move the mouth, like I said, but just hear it in your own head as you're ready. And the neat thing about that is then you can slow it down to whatever pace makes sense in your body and mind. And what I start to do usually then is I inhale the mantra and I exhale the mantra. If that makes sense. Notice thinking, return to breath and mantra observation. We'll do a few more. I'm going to release that for now, release our legs and come down onto our back body where we're going to practice a little vagus nerve reboot. So you're going to interweave your fingers behind your head so that when you settle your head onto the floor, there's clear and direct contact with your knuckles to the floor and your palms to the back of the skull. And obviously, if you experience any shoulder pain or discomfort, you could always unwind the arm, sometimes just supporting it, like putting a block underneath. Beautiful instinct, so that you're not getting as deep of an elbow angle. I think some of you have done this with me before, and it's pretty simple. When you are ready, you're going to simply rotate your eyes to the right, eyes open, and hold for about 30 seconds, or until you yawn, sigh, or swallow. Don't make those things happen. It's fine if they don't. And we're at about 30 seconds. If you're wanting to hold a little longer, please do. Otherwise, let the eyes come back to center. And then rotate them to the left for the next 30 seconds or so. Tuning into your body and breath. And letting it unfold. Maybe you sigh, swallow, or yawn, maybe not. And that's a little over 30 seconds. Bring your eyes back to center. You might close your eyes, swallow, just notice what would feel good. And please organically just begin reaching above your head, stretching. Organically, you might be rolling your wrists and ankles, flexing through the palms and pointing again can feel amazing, especially if you've been doing a bunch of yard work, computer work, you name it. And then we're going to clasp our right knee and release wind pose. Heels are flexed, shoulder heads power down. Good, extending the left leg fully, flexing through the heel. Beautiful, and you might bring that knee a little right and left. So much gets stored in our hips, and in fact, when we talk about trauma and emotional stuff, there's a lot of emotional holding through the hip area. Inviting you to see if you can get a hold of your foot with your left hand and just bring it a little across the body towards that left hip bone. We don't care how high it comes, just see what feels good. And then inhaling, take that leg straight up to the sky. Exhaling, rooting your lower back into the floor before slowly releasing that leg. It's like you're trying to paint a stripe on the wall in front of you, maintaining a soft neck and face. So we're training ourselves during moments of intensity to be able to relax in all those other areas. Beautiful, and then melting. Let's bring the left knee in, release wind pose. Heels are flexed, shoulder heads anchored. A softness through the jaw. So it's like you can hold something delicate in your mouth and not squish it against the roof of the mouth. A little peony bud, perhaps. Our favorite delicate ephemeral flower. Breathing deeply, reaching away through that right heel because that will help to give you that hip flexor stretch. And then if you'd like, reaching across for the foot, if that feels good. On a long inhale, extending straight up to the ceiling, exhaling, root and descend. Again, staying soft in the neck, anchored in the lower back. We're going to come into 3 sighing breaths, also an amazing tool for resetting the nervous system, calming the amygdala. Inhaling slow, deep and wide through the nose as if it's all you'd ever do. Exhaling, releasing through the mouth. Nicely done. Any hurry or worry, let it go. And then we're going to come into abdominal pumping. Inhale, slow, deep and wide. Is there more? Is there more? Let that inhale massage you. Exhale, empty and hold out to begin that pumping. Until you need to breathe. We're going to do 2 more rounds. It's a great chance to play with your pacing. Make those fluctuations slower or faster. I find slower is sometimes actually more intense. I'm able to draw in and think about bringing it up, kind of almost like you're trying to bring your stomach up into your rib cage. And if you cough, great sign you got to stretch there. When that's complete, we're going to be playing with our block under the sacral triangle. And I think exploring is useful because sometimes it might be a difference of a half an inch that makes it just feel amazing. If you prefer one of these soft blocks, I'm happy to give you mine. You're placing it right there at the sacral triangle at the top of the butt. It's not in the low back. Very important. And I personally really like settling in with my knees bent for a few breaths and then exploring legs straight, but whatever works for you. In this pose, among many, we're seeking the ah. In other words, it should be very relaxed, like welcoming, not, oh, this is okay, when does it end there? Yeah. Staying in the position only as long as it is truly feeling renovating, nourishing. Then come out and come into happy baby. So we'll bring our knees all the way to the sides of the ribs as if we wanted to bring them to the floor. They might not get there. Shoulder heads anchoring down the back. If you wish you had a strap to put across your arches, please let me know. That can be helpful. Because we don't want to be shrugged and up in a tight low ball. We want shoulder heads anchored, elbows in, tailbone tilting towards the floor. Ease inside of the power of it all. And of course, then we send it breath. And I hope this whole time you're tuning into breath. I know you're also listening to me and body sensation, but especially steering your mind towards breath and whatever other tools you'd like for tethering. Maybe you're digging Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And from here, invitation to notice what your body's craving. Some of us really love coming into butterfly, others might go into half straddle. I usually do that because, man, I've got some hamstrings that need some letting go, I'll tell you what. And you can feel the whole line, hamstrings, IT bands, calves, especially if you point and flex, you're kind of flossing the whole line. Mm-hmm. And then you might bring yourself into butterfly if you haven't already. And then we're coming into bridge pose. And if you like working in and out of bridge with block between the thighs, please add that. Work your shoulder heads beneath you. Feet are parallel. Inhaling, slow, deep, and wide. Exhaling, anchoring the belly to the spine, and then raising those hips. Is there more? Inhaling, come down one rib at a time. This is hopefully using the glute muscles and thigh muscles, but not the neck. So maybe do a little scan. Yeah, and this slow up and down really recruits the back line of the body that tends to be tight but weak. And so we're hoping to actually change that here. So, again, tuning into breath, body sensation, noticing where the weight is in your feet can tell you a lot about what your legs are doing. So if the weight is in the outside of the foot, your inner thigh could use more work. Good. Hearing a nice little bit of ujjayi as I'm walking throughout the room. Great sounding breath, wind in the trees sounding breath. Let's do one more. And then the next time we're gonna hold for foot cover. And again, that's gonna work that back line a lot. Yeah. Now I've been thinking that when we're doing this, of course, we're trying to build a strong body, but part of what happens too is when our body is strong, it actually helps our being feel more secure. So especially if we're gonna invite ourselves to do any kind of emotional work, maybe dealing with some past trauma or stress, recovery, if you can actually help the body be really healthy and safe and get good food, some good sleep, you'll actually be in a better position to do that kind of work. It's kind of cool. When that is complete, we're gonna actually come into butterfly with our soles of the feet touching on the floor, but if you need to straighten the legs first, give it a little kick out, go for it. So with those soles of the feet touching, we then simply raise the hips. Just an inch or two is about all it takes to feel that deep inner thigh, low glute line contract. It's golfing season. We do this pose even in the winter, you know that, but yeah, exactly. Now you can actually take these muscles and go use them on the golf course and feel the benefit. They're also just our rooting muscles, so if you want to be able to push a wheelbarrow or what have you, of compost, these can help you out. So as we hold for maybe another 30 seconds, please scan your body for unnecessary tension. Face, jaw, neck. When we come out, keep your feet where they are for a moment and just let the hips settle and the knees settle. And just see what's there. Usually there's a little more release. I'm going to invite you to take both legs to the sky. Straight up, if you can. Good. Inhale. Imagine you're squeezing the block between your thighs. Feels flexed. Exhale. Root that back firmly as you slowly descend both legs. You can bend the knees as much as you need to keep the back rooted. Right? So don't let the back lift. And of course, when you reach the floor, invitation to melt. I invite you to return to the Om Namah Shivaya mantra and perhaps do 3 breaths, inhaling Om Namah Shivaya, exhaling Om Namah Shivaya. Here we're going to come onto our hands and knees, so you can just gently go to one side and come up, or you can spinal rock, however you'd like to do it. Intelligent hands. Inhaling cow, draw that tailbone back, heart forward. Check that the neck feels peaceful, so we're not trying to look forward, just the head moves along with the spine. Exhaling, tucking the tailbone, rounding through the back, the shoulder blades. And as we do a few more, I'm going to ask you to just get organic. Let this come from the inside. Maybe you want to send your ribs to one side, look out over the other shoulder. Maybe you send your hips back towards the heels. Maybe you decide to circle. I don't know what's going to happen. It's a great way to get to know what's in there. And are you feeling along the spine? Anybody besides me have a lot going on there? Yeah, around those shoulder blades and spine. So again, think about all the nerves that innervate there, like we were talking about before practice. All the ways that maybe you're getting some compression, and this is a chance to really liberate them. Right? It affects our breathing, our heart rate, our mood, the whole deal. And then we're gonna find stable table. And ideally, we've got a really good core lift going. So I've got actually very little weight in my hands. You can clap. Yeah. Then I'm gonna lift right hand and left knee, and that will put some weight into that left hand. If this is bothering wrists, remember you could do fists instead. Slowly switch. Attentively observing what's happening in the body, which muscle groups are taking over. We don't want a hip dropping or a shoulder dropping. We want to stay neutral. So find neutral and then very slowly move, and you're able to watch for those little ways the body gives up integrity. So now we're going to extend the limbs. There's going to be a tendency to want to collapse the chest next to the arm that's on the floor. Don't do it. Draw up into yourself. Come slowly back to table. I'm going to go back and forth like that for a few rounds. It's a surprisingly complex posture. It looks and sounds so simple, but there are a lot of opportunities here to focus on integrity. Number one, we'd love to have the leg get straight. So heel flexed, toes straight down. Don't take it higher than your butt or it'll force your back into a pelvic tilt. Where's your neck? And does your neck feel like it's taking on as little tension as possible? For that, you usually want the head straight forward to the spine. Breathing, noticing. Nice slow return. Remember, the return to table is actually some of the best and hardest work. Ujjayi, light connection, tip of the tongue, roof of the mouth. Okay. And enjoy those quivers, the wobble, right? This is one of the gifts of this pose. It is waking up so many of your muscles and little twitch fibers. So good. All right, let's do another round or two. This time, as you extend your limbs, pause and take them just a little to the outside. You can feel how that changes things up a little. I'm seeing some bent knees back there. You have to kind of kick your heel like you're trying to kick a barn door and see if you can get your knee to click straight. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, sometimes the knee bend happens because people are trying to take their heel higher than the butt. Good, you guys. Whew. I know not everyone's knees will do this, so don't think you have to because we'll come out of it pretty quick. But for those of us who can, come back to kneeling, hands behind, glute squeeze. Just a nice stretch for the quads. Yeah. And then if you're within reach, grab your block. We're going to come into our ragdoll with the block under the hands. You might decide you don't need it at some point, but I find in the beginning, it really allows the upper body to be a little supported on the block, and then my hamstrings are feeling safer to let go a little bit. Try to have the block close enough to the feet so that you're not leaning forward on the feet. We want to feel really centered in the footbed. And now the challenges of breathing in an inversion. I'm well aware. So giving your attention on your exhale so you can empty more. On the inhale, fill all that space. Let it move into your hips. One more. On your inhale, drop that butt into chair or even a deeper squat if you'd like, and then root and rise. Squeeze those thigh muscles back towards the bone. Get those legs straight. Boom. Exhaling prayer hands. Love it. We're going to come straight into our nerve flossing. Prayer hands, sending the world side to side. Remember, we're not turning, we're not taking the shoulder width. It's very honoring of the original shape. If you're not feeling much, check and see if your hands are maybe higher than your elbows and if you're able to bring them down. Stay soft in the neck. How's it going? Interesting stuff, right? Please remember to keep shoulders down and relaxed. Yeah, nice little adjustments, you guys. Well done. Let's do just a couple more of this version. Whew. All right, we're gonna do the waitressing tray of drinks. And again, make sure that you're being loose and smooth. In other words, don't hike your shoulders, don't do anything too crazy, but your palm is straight up like you're holding a tray of drinks, and then you're dumping down to the outside, and then it comes back up. Yeah, and I've gotten to the point now where I've been doing this so much that I maintain good alignment. I don't have to be really watching, so I have taken to doing both, but I've been doing them like almost every day for 6 months. So please make sure you're at the place where you're keeping that hand flexed, you're not doing something funky with the shoulder, right? Really make sure you know what you've got going on before you add that. Nice deep breath. And these are kind of fun. You get to control, how intense you want them to be. So again, one of the things that will create the intensity is continuing to have the hand in the flexion. I see some people coming down to the outside with their hand just straight. And in fact, you're keeping that 90-degree or whatever degree it is, as if you were still holding the tray, but it's dumping down, if that makes sense. Yeah. If you are only doing one at a time and you haven't switched, make sure you do the other arm for a few, and then we'll go into the last one where we go behind us and get the tip. So each one of these is flossing and helping lubricate a different nerve line, right? There's the ulnar, medial, and radial nerves. So hand in front, I use this chance every time my hand comes to the front again to actively really stretch my thumb and pinky away, because I take on a ton of tension here because of massage. So I really need that extra stretch, but you may not do that. And then you're gonna go behind you as if you're collecting a little tip in your little beak here, and then forward again. Make sure that you're not going so far back that it's rotating your shoulder head forward. Okay, we don't want to do that. So shoulder head stay neutral. Is there anybody not feeling anything with these?
All of my hand and wrist.
You're feeling it all?
And this one was like,
yeah, that's like a little electrical storm sometimes. Yeah. Go ahead and we'll do the other one, the other side. And it's so interesting, notice the differences side to side, and to even reflect, what might that be about? If you do a lot of mousing, these are some of the things that can lead to these nerve lines being compressed. And that's really what we're trying to do, is lubricate and get rid of the gunk. As the physical therapist said, it's just like flossing, right? You're getting rid of the crud in there. It's kind of the same thing. So please notice if any of these feel really good to you. It would be great to do them more. I've been talking to more and more people who are struggling, like all of a sudden out of the blue, at a certain age, are like, oh, I'm having numbness and tingling in my hands. So how great to get ahead of it and give ourselves these opposite shapes. I mean, think about how often do you ever even rotate your arm fully like this? And yet we're designed to, right? We need that. Let's come into a nice opposite shape of Yoga Mudra. We're gonna intertwine the hands, the fingers behind the back. Remember, you can grab a strap. Nice core support as we do this. I don't want to be arching in my back. I want to be connected in that core. I need kind of tightening my glutes a little. Send the fist down towards the floor. Let the shoulder blades come together. Breathe. If you can't breathe there, or you can't straighten the arms, you can't bring the arms off the butt at all, definitely grab a strap or a sock or something. And again, that breath will give us space inside in a way that nothing else can. So that's why it's so important to have a shape that we can breathe in. And then when you release, nice slow sweeping up, enjoy the flight. Exhaling and fold. Let that head hang completely. One full breath here, compression and expansion. On your next exhale, stepping back left foot only. Last week we used the block under our hands. You can always do that if that makes this more easeful. Inhaling, rotating open through the right arm. You can flex the hand to the ceiling again. Exhaling, step back, downward facing dog. Big breath, work those hips to the heavens, heels towards the floor, let the head hang. Excellent, and then just bring that left foot forward, right hand plants. Inhale, rotate open. Yeah, it might take you a few steps. You might have to grab the ankle and get that foot forward. Big breath, exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Holding here for a few breaths, pedaling. Pedaling is so great. I'm hoping you can feel how you're massaging and stretching that whole line through the Achilles tendon, calves, and so on, yeah? Opportunity to hold, rest, or flow. If you'd like to flow with me in dog series, please do. Inhaling to your plank. Often knees down is a great starting point. Or if you're going to stand plank, make sure you can hop. That's how you know you're in your form. Exhaling, chaturanga. Cobra or upward facing dog. I usually do cobra and then from there go to upward dog, straighten the arms, hips suspended. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Full breath, seeing how close you can bring the heels towards the floor. We don't care. We just want that stretch. Marvelous. And then coming down onto our butt. We did this last week and I'm hoping it felt great and you enjoyed doing it again. I did it as a part of a flow, we're just doing it separate. So I'm just going to tuck my right heel in towards my body, my butt. I'm going to set my right hand out to the side. I want to make sure I'm not leaning or shrugging, nice shoulder anchoring. I'm going to take hold of my big toe, if you can, or if you hate doing that, you could also try and hold the ankle, but it's kind of awkward, or yes, you could use a strap. And we're going to play with trying to straighten through that leg, and I'm pretty tight back there, so I find I really benefit from kind of bending and straightening. It sort of puts those muscles on notice, gets some synovial fluid in the joints. And once I've got a hold of that, whether you have it straight or not, you can kind of swing it around. And now you're just getting some nice hip movement. And that can be kind of fun to either bend your arm more or even come down onto your forearm for those of you that want to. And stretch that heel straight towards the sky and maybe even look up or look down if your neck doesn't like that. We're going to take a few deep breaths. You guys getting a good stretch? Yeah. And release. We're just going to switch it up. Other side. Bring that foot in. Left hand down. Take a hold of your right big toe, whichever side you're working. Yeah. Is this side different? Does it have more or less resistance, tension, flexibility? Begin swinging it, sweeping it. And I'm noticing as I'm doing this, there's also some nice stretches that come along into kind of my upper back and ribs and stuff, depending on how you play it. You know, kids are so good at this, right? They just hang out, they touch their own feet, they make funny shapes. It feels good to be a little bit of just a funky little Gumby on the floor. And so, like I said, at some point, if it feels good coming down low with the forearm, stretching it to the ceiling. Always sending in breath. Breath is the change agent. And release. So invite you to be in cross-legged if you can. Now, having said that, my preferred version for cross-legged, when I can do it, when my hips let me, is actually having, instead of having the heel like tucked under the other shin, which I find puts pressure on my ankle that's underneath, especially if there's no padding or if you've ever sprained an ankle. So sometimes if I'm able to, I like just having one foot and shin in front of the other one. And sometimes if you can't do that, but you add a little something under your butt, then sometimes you can. So that's what I've got right now. I've got like one kind of tucked in. So I'm more on the front shin and the top of the foot than I am on the outside, which again tends to kind of cramp the ankle, right? I'm not saying this is gonna be amazing for everybody, but I'm hoping a few of you might decide, oh, this is actually a more comfortable seated position for me for meditating, breathing, talking, whatever it might be. So I'd love to hear from you if you're noticing as you're trying to find a comfortable seat, if it's just bubbling you, if you've got questions. It occurs to me, been a rather neglectful teacher today, I did not mention one really nice add-on for some people, which is adding a block under the outside of the thigh sometimes. You don't want to do that if your legs are like way up here anyway, because we would like the knees to be the height of the hips or lower. But what happens sometimes, even if you've got the flexibility to let the legs say go down, it actually creates pressure in the joints, just depending on how you're structured. You know, we all have different angles of our joints and so on. So I want us to find a position where we're not feeling any joint pressure, no ankle, knee, hip, etc. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it just adds a nice little something, especially if you've got a knee that's had a history. Anybody feel like they want me to bring them some blocks? Okay. How is it going with Om Namah Shivaya? Do you feel like you've mostly got it in your head? Yeah?
For right now.
For right now? Exactly. It'll leave
The
later.
other side of that threshold.
Maybe not. Good point. Good point. And like I said, you can look it up online and stuff. And my intention is actually to do a little mini of this on Thursday before my third mountain yoga class and get that up on YouTube. So hopefully I'll be able to go do that where you can hear my voice, you know, doing it and I'll have it written and stuff. So I'm going to start us off with me saying it, and then I'm going to invite you to say it out loud if you feel more comfortable doing that from the beginning. But then we're going to take it inside, and you're going to move your tongue as if you were trying to say it with your mouth closed. I'll just tell you right now so that it reduces some of your mental mess, because I was like, I remember, what are they talking about? Your tongue is just going to move around a little in your mouth, okay? So just know that. This is, if it feels funky, if you're confused, you're like, but I'm not really saying it very well, I know. You can't make all the same tongue positions with your mouth closed as you do with it open. That's okay. You'll get the benefit. Okay. I know I'm hard to see some eyebrows. I'm like, I don't know about this. Cuties. Thanks for coming along on the ride with me. Appreciate it. So as you're ready, find a comfortable position. Again, if at some point this is uncomfortable, feel free to get up and go sit on the bench or come sit at the edge of the stage or whatever you want to do. Finding a nice long spine. And I'll say Om Namah Shivaya a few times, and then I'll stop saying it and invite you to just be able to repeat it at your own pace inside your own mind. And like I said, I generally will do it on the inhale and the exhale. Okay. Om Namah Shivaya. 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 And now if you would please take it into your own head and begin to make those tongue movements. Notice if the mind has wandered, return it to your home, Namah Shivaya, for about another minute. Maintaining as much introversion as you can, please come off of your object of support, give your legs any movement they need, and then we're actually coming into forearm plank, where I'm hoping you will find a very deep and peaceful version. Tune in to your body, your core. I hope a relaxed neck and tongue, deep and abiding breath. Tune into breath blossoming in your back of your ribs, soft neck, maybe even a soft smile. Noticing both how powerful and peaceful you are. When you feel complete, we never want to go past the edge. We don't want to be striving. So when you feel like you've done all the good work you can do there for the moment, come out and come directly into your jet airplane. Try to orient the thigh bones of the legs straight down versus externally rotating, which points the toes out. And then let your flight change with breath. Maybe you come all the way out and back in, or maybe you're just sort of dipping and gliding. Invitation to sweep one arm forward and one arm back, and hold a moment and see if you can actually raise your hands a little bit off of the floor further. Palms are facing the center line of the body. So some of you have your palms facing the floor. Yeah, turn. There you go. And let's switch. And again, see if you can get the hands a little further off the floor with arms straight. And release and turn your head to the side. Would it feel good to rock the hips, windshield wiper the lower leg? Just notice. We're going to come into another round of those two. So with your breath and your peaceful focus, come into your version of forearm plank. You might be on your knees. You might be adding, once you're there, lifting one foot at a time off the floor. And that can be a great way to intensify some of the core work, but also test your ability to breathe inside of that. Small add-on, you could also take that leg out to the side. This is all with control, without any collapse of the hip or any part of the body saying, ouch. Yeah, finding joy, bliss, and ease in these bodies. And you feel that you're starting to strive, instead of breathing deeply into it, come out and breathe into your flight. And then as soon as you're ready, moving again into that sweeping or slicing. Yeah. Again, hold in each slice long enough to just notice if you can find extra length. I almost feel like I find an extra inch to 2 between my fingers, where I'm able to stretch a little bit longer, measure a little bit bigger. When you feel complete, you release out to your child's pose, or if you prefer, of course, right here on your belly. Take a few moments exploring what's needed, and then we'll be creating our resting shape for our last 5 minutes or so of practice. I'm offering a shoulder press today. If anyone would like me to skip them, please let me know. Please give me a little wave. If there's any final posture, if you're like, but I needed more dog series, whatever, go there, do it, you've got time. Would anyone like me to bring them a blanket or a supportive cushion or something for under the knees? I've got extra yoga mats, sometimes that's nice for under the knees. Remember too, you could take your lower body up the wall, that can be amazing, that little bit of that inversion. We did start just a few minutes late. I'd love to go just a few minutes over. Is that okay? Good. Great. Nice to be flexible, guys. It's such a powerful thing to be interested in how to arrange your body for comfort, much less listening to that and providing that. It's very powerful. We in fact want to be able to release stored pain or trauma either in our body or our emotional body. We need to approach with both curiosity and compassion and provide enough support and ease that the systems feel they can start to reorganize. Take these first few moments scanning your body, seeing if any little change would be welcome. Then please give yourself to gravity. Imagine gravity just got more powerful, drawing you down, down, down.
Lightly deepen your breath, become lightly aware of your body. Begin to watch the breath as it goes deeper with each inhale, inviting it to travel down into the lower regions of the torso. You can even imagine it going to your feet, to the top of your head. As you deepen your breath still more, you might take the opportunity to focus the mind briefly once again on Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. And I want to fertilize the seed that I planted at the beginning of practice, inviting you to consider a little meditation on the solstice, or anytime really, particularly go out at night and just sit on your deck or on a bench or under a tree. Maybe it's a walking meditation. Maybe you have a favorite path or your driveway and you choose to walk and breathe and perhaps add the mantra Om Namah Shivaya. Or maybe you'd like to come up with a mantra that feels very personal and poignant for what might be happening in life at this time. Thank you all so much for coming to the mat and always your openness for what I might share. Look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. I'll be, like I said, here again next week, but not the week after for the July week. So thanks everyone. Om Shanti Shanti. Om peace, peace. Namaste. Namaste.